Hello guys, it is Archimedes Aizen here, back at it again with part 4 of Ichigo's royal journey. Now, pretty much last time I left off was pretty much, I said pretty much twice, but I don't think you care, so yeah. Last time I left off was after Ichigo literally gutter stomps his hollow, or his future Zanpakuto in a sense, and he wakes up. So pretty much once he wakes up, he's meted by none other than Urahara Kisuke, or Kisuke Urahara. Technically, I'm saying it the Japanese way, or I think other people say last name first, but wherever they say it, I don't want to be too specific. But yeah, so Urahara Kisuke would walk in, and he would act all he'd be like, hey, Mr. Kurosaki, and waving his hat and all, and Ichigo would have gotten a good look at his face, and heard the name. He recognized the name from one of the stories he heard as a kid, like one of the exiled captains, or one of the former captains did basically turned a cat, like eight. I think it's 8. So there's 5. Okay, so it's Shinji, it's Love, it's Rose, it's Lisa, it's Hiyori, it's I think it's 8. Lisa, and then Hachi, and then Mashiro, then Kensei. So it's 9. It doesn't matter who. So pretty much what would happen is you would have heard stories about how Urahara in one night turned them all into hollows, or that was the story. They definitely manipulated the words there, but that's the story he heard. And he would have asked, well, didn't you turn like the former captains and lieutenants into hollows, since they were seen with hollow mask on their face? And Urahara would kind of his mood would change a little bit before he would turn back to his happy and carefree state, telling Ichigo that the the 5th captain, right? 5th squad captain, right? And Ichigo was like, yeah, that's Sosuke Aizen. And Urahara would get a serious face before saying, well, he's behind it. And Ichigo wouldn't be too surprised, since he literally was investigating him for 6 months, so that's definitely understandable. And he would be like, oh, I knew it was him. And pretty much Urahara would ask him, whatsoever do you mean? And Ichigo would tell him that he was pretty much following Aizen for like a few months before he got turned into a hollow, in a sense, or got a inner hollow, or a hollow part, in a sense. And it was now we're here. So Urahara would explain to Ichigo that Aizen made an artifact called Hokyoku, and he made a similar artifact before him, and the artifact was the power to kind of separate the boundaries between Hollow and Shinigami. And he used it on the Vizards, and he used it on Ichigo to basically have subdue the Hollows, but gain hollow powers at the end. So Ichigo would have been a little, I guess, not put off, but a little interested in how he, like, that was probably the burst of power he felt when he defeated his newly Zanpakuto, in a sense, or White, or Zangetsu. And pretty much he told Urahara that in his inner world he defeated someone who looked exactly like me, but it was more inverted, had bleach type colors. And Urahara would explain to Ichigo that form that Hollow is was only in his cocoon form, so it's going to continue to get stronger and stronger. And Ichigo would be kind of scared a little bit, but then Urahara would kind of reassure Ichigo, saying that all you have to do is learn how to use your Quincy powers properly, and you'll be fine. And speaking of Quincy powers, he felt something weird on his wrist. He looked at it, and didn't look like his like he didn't really have a Quincy cross. So he saw like a weird cross there, and he asked Urahara, Quincy cross, what's a Quincy cross? And Or how I would explain, well, you know, I can sense just from here that you know how to use reishi and make bows and arrows and swords, right? And use blood vein. Ichigo would respond, yeah, I thought that was just some power I had. And Urahara would kindly, reassure him that there's other people who use the same power, but they're not very kindly to Shinigami. But of course, if they see you, they might be more inclined to meet you in a sense. After fighting you, of course, since they don't really like the fact that you're half Shinigami, half Hollow, and half Quincy. And fun fact: don't try to use your Quincy powers on a Hollow, because Hollow Reishi is poisonous towards Quincy Reishi. And then he would explain how he needs to either train with Kido, since Sangetsu would probably never use Kido, he's more of a swordsman guy, or he can either use Quincy techniques. And pretty much Ichigo would choose Kido techniques. He would tell Urahara how he's trained by Yamamoto on advanced Kido techniques like Hado number 99 or Hado 90, just Hado and then 90. And pretty much Tessai would come in and he would kind of just do his own look at Ichigo, look at him with an observant eye, and he would see that Ichigo has a lot of potential when it comes to Kido, and pretty much he thinks he can handle the hidden Hado. Now, if you guys are wondering, like, what are you guys talking about? What's the hidden Hado? If you read the Thousand Year Blood arc and you saw the Ichibei versus Yuha fights, I think that was maybe chapter 620, between 620 and 630. And pretty much Ichibei used, like, hidden Hado number 3, Teppatsu, I think it's called. And he basically summoned a dragon that blew air into Yuha's like zone or domain of Blood Fiend. I think it's called like Amina. I think it's something like that. If you guys know the name, definitely put that in the comments. And yeah, you get that imaginary cookie, just like the person from last part got the imaginary cookie for saying Ukiura. Like, we got the answer right. So pretty much Tessai would tell Ichigo to meet him in the training ground room in about 1 hour. Let him take a breather, let him, talk to Rukia and Toshiro. Now, he would ask, Rukia and Toshiro what was happening, and, Toshiro would tell Ichigo that they can't really go back to Soul Society, since, number one, Ichigo is now exiled, just like that guy with the hat and clogs, and the guy with the weird beard and the lady with the purple hair. Now he's talking about like Yoruichi, Tessai, and Kisuke, and yeah. So they would all, pretty much note their negative feelings about even leaving Soul Society, since they've rarely ever been to human world other than like going on missions. They went there on a few vacations, but like other than that, they didn't really actually go there for anything other than missions. So, but they do know the terrain of the town they're in. It's Karakura town. So, Toshiro would remind them that if they were exiled, maybe they should get stronger, since everyone assumed that they're weak and they lost to the Hollow, so we can surprise them when we come back way later on. Toshiro would explain that he still has a unmastered Bankai in a sense, and Rukia says that like her Zanbakuto was willing to give her like that test so she can attain Bankai, and Ichigo says that he has to fight some hollow thing that merged with his Shinigami powers. So to prepare for that, he has to learn advanced Kido and something other than swordsmanship. And they would all note that they'll be stronger in about maybe in the coming time. Of course, they don't know what's happening in the first place. That's how I was confused how the lieutenants, they could have learned Bankai, or any of the people who haven't learned Bankai, like Mashiro. I don't even know if she has Bankai. All she does is like kick people. I think she's just a Hakuda expert. I don't know why like Hiyori, Lisa, or any of the lieutenants that like, I don't know why they didn't learn Bankai in that time. They could have easily done it since they have 100 years to do it. But let's not go on a tangent. Let's get back to the video in a sense. So, pretty much, we'll start the training. So, like, they'll do training. Like, Tessai and Ichigo will do training for the next 2 weeks to 1 month. and Ichigo would just be learning. He's trying to, like, for the first week he tries to form a dragon with his Ryatsu. After that, he tries to shorten his Ryatsu to like 20%, and then he tries to form it from there. And then he learns Ryatsu control. And then he learns how to expand his Ryatsu pools, or expand more of his potential pools of Ryatsu. So in this time, he would have, let's just say, he would have gotten quite strong. Then after the third and fourth week, he would have learned the Kido, Hado number 99, and hidden Hado number 3. And he would have made some of his own Kido. Like, he would have made like a lightning dragon, a fire dragon. I think that's already a thing though. I'm not sure. I don't think it is. He would have learned all kind of small types of elemental Kido. He wouldn't have named them. They're just unnamed Kido. He would have learned like Hero Saren, I think it was. It was like in the Zanpakuto Rebellion arc. It was I think it was like the former Kuchiki head, like the one Byakuya fought and killed. He was using like Kido that nobody even knew. So he would learn those type of Kidos as well, and he just would have became a Kido master in general. Ichigo is actually gonna be not OP, but he would have been quite strong. Like, he knows advanced Kido, advanced swordsmanship, advanced Hakuda. I don't know about him learning Shunko. I don't think it's his style though. Even though Kido isn't his style either, but I just wanted to try it out, like the Kido part. And he would have learned how to, like, due to him shortening his Ryatsu, learning how to expand it, learning how to use less, that would have helped him majorly in his ho-ho, or his, shunpoing. So he would learn how to properly use Utsusemi. There was a technique I forgot in part 1. So, yeah. After all this training, Ichigo's look would have changed dramatically. His outfit would have changed because Ichigo's emotions pretty much control the clothes he wears. So he would have basically be wearing like Dangai form of himself, that kind of outfit. Since number 1, it's drippy. Number 2, just listen to what I had to say about number 1. It's drippy. So and I mean, it's not too far of a fetch anyway. It's just, taking off that ribbon off his chest and just, compressing all of your Ryatsu into your sword and your clothes. It isn't too hard to get, so hopefully Mysta doesn't like get too mad about it, but I don't think he really cares about like something as small as clothes. And pretty much what would happen is he would, be meditating using the Jinzen technique to go into his inner world. Now he would be in his inner world. He would be calling for old man Zangetsu. He'd be like, old man Zangetsu, where are you? And pretty much, Ichigo would turn around and he would see, like, the person he was fighting earlier. He was way weaker, but now he was standing there with a Vaster Lorde mask and the 2 horns with his Bankai in his hand, but it was all bleached out. And he would have had like claws on his foot and his like hands, like on his fingernails and his toenails, like just would have been kind of like sharp nails there. He would have had fur at his neck, but it wouldn't have been like red or anything like that. It would have been like a kind of a dark blue, or it's like dark cyan blue in a sense, and like I said, bleached out. Then he would move his mask to the side and he would say, "You recognize me?" like as a question. He's antagonizing Ichigo. Ichigo would quickly immediately go Bankai, and the Hollow is already Bankai, or Zangetsu is already in Bankai, so he just ran towards Ichigo. They would then do their clash and infusing the technical they're like technique that they always use, Getsuga Tensho. He would have infused Getsuga Tensho into their swords, kept it in, used it as pressure, and basically had the swing as strong as Getsuga. So he would have swung, and then Zangetsu would have swung, and their clashes would have basically started to go towards each other. Like, maybe, I don't know, I think it's converged. Yeah, their attacks would converge towards each other, and the thing is, what would happen is their attacks would be equal power. So if there is, for example, 10 newtons of force and then 10 newtons of other force, and they equal, that means nothing. So it's equalized. I think that's what it's called, newtons. But correct me if I'm wrong. Then, Zangetsu and Ichigo would be blasted back a few skyscrapers before they would start diving towards each other. Now, after this, Ichigo would have then used Bakudo number 61, Rikuju Kuru, but the hollow would literally catch the light beam coming from the restraining Kido, and he says, like, I'm not gonna fall for that again, before, Ichigo says, oh, you fell for it. And when Zangetsu went to, like, split in half, Ichigo would have used the portable gi guy, and he would have appeared behind Zangetsu, and Zangetsu would quickly put his finger into the chain of Tensa Zangetsu, swinged it around and threw it behind him, and pretty much Zangetsu would say, you think I'm gonna forget your signature move and let you use it against me? Since Zangetsu did go through all of his memories, he is basically Zangetsu now. So Ichigo would have kind of coughed up blood before pretty much using Utsusemi, and he would kind of, like, in a sense, the attack would never hit him in the first place. He's not reversing techniques, he's just using the technique fast enough, and then the technique looked like it hit, but it never did. He would then pretty much take a deep breath, and then he would try to transform all of his Ratsu into one point, into a certain place in his body where he always makes Kido. It's just like every Shinigami has it. So he would have charged up all of his Ryatsu to the max before he would start to silently go through incantations, before he would say, Hado no Kyuji, Goryeo Tenmetsu. So after he would recite these incantations and say the technique's name, which is Hado number 99, he would, 5 dragons would appear behind him, and they would be roaring, and the color of these dragons would be blue. Now, on the Versus Wiki, I did a little research. Apparently, Hado number 99, or Uraharo's Hado number 99, is apparently 6A, which is like, no, I think it's 5A. It's not 5. Not set. I think it's 7 or 6A. It's like country level to continental, which was, like, pretty much, like, unbelievable. So yeah, I just went off on a tangent for no reason. But basically, what I'm trying to iterate here is pretty much he would use the technique, and he would then go through some incantations before using Hidden Haru number 3, Tepetsu. So, yeah, I think I said that right. It was basically the dragon that blew wind out. So another green dragon would appear behind him, and it would start to merge, like, separate into 5 different dragons before merging with the Hado number 99. Now, once this would happen, all the dragons would start blowing out air, and then it would separate from the Hado number 99, and they would disappear before the Goryeo Tenmetsu would, like, basically initiate its attack, and kind of do like a double attack in a sense. And that's something Ichigo created. It's called a combination Kido, using Kido that look similar and have similar effects together, creating a 5 times multiplier to the Kido. I just made that up in the last few seconds, so props on me, I guess. So once the Kido hit, and pretty much it would have destroyed Zangetsu. Zangetsu would then be seen like a chest, like a hole through his chest, and then a hole through his spleen, and then through his shoulder. He would have had, like, cuts everywhere. Like, his body would be spurting of nothing but bleached out blood, in a sense. I think his blood is bleached. It's like kind of like grayish, like I said, bleached. And then Zangetsu would start laughing, and he would start to regenerate it. Now, pretty much, Ichigo would have took a deep breath and remembered all the memories that surged through him when he first beat Zangetsu. So he would have put his sword up and charged up a Sero, and it would have not been an Orso. Like, Ichigo unintentionally would have pretty much made a Grand Race Sero. So a blue bulb would come out from his sword before Ichigo would then charge up Getsuga, and Zangetsu's eyes would widen. Ichigo has pretty much used his Shinigami powers and some of his hollow techniques to make a combination attack. Now, if you guys don't know, this is the Getsuga Grand Race Sero. So Ichigo would raise his blade up, and like the sky above them, it would pretty much make a hole. Like it would kind of make a wave of Ryatsu, and it would go through the sky all the way to like the top of the inner world, like to the stars, I guess, in a sense. And pretty much what would happen is this would literally change the weather. It would go from like sunny to then raining to then tornadoes in the background to then like volcanoes erupting around back to day. So he would have changed the weather just by him charging up the technique. So what would happen is he would then like raise his blade before rushing towards rushing towards Zangetsu, and Zangetsu would try to swipe him. This would work, but Ichigo would pretty much turn into dust before reappearing behind him, and he was like, "You're out of here!" Before he would pretty much like split Zangetsu in half, like he's not living that technique. And pretty much Ichigo would then pretty much scream out, Getsuga Grand Ray Sera, before like Ichigo would split Zangetsu in half, just like I said, using the technique, and Zangetsu's body would just, like the chest area would say goodbye to his legs, like Rebozo. So Ichigo, like that attack would have been so destructive. Ichigo would have been kicked out of his inner world. Not kicked out, but it was too much destruction for his soul to handle, or his inner world to handle. So he would quote, like he would be like forced out out of the Jinzen technique. And when he came out, he, obviously noticeable scars there, and like the red, unique red Ryatsu coming out of him from the Getsugas that were used against him. So after this, Ichigo would then, grab at his face and put on the mask, and this time the mask looked completely different. Now this time, it would have been the mask that Ichigo had after beating Ulquiorra, and it's not like the mask wasn't heavy just like it was after beating Ulquiorra. It was the same weight. So Ichigo would have felt a burst of power. Maybe he was calculating around maybe a 10 times multiplier. So after he would take off the mask again, he would then take a few deep breaths before Urahara would come in, clapping his hands. And you say, "Seems you subdued your hollow, but it's not as you subdued it. It's like you merged it to your Shinigami powers, giving it extra powers. So that Zanpakuto you seem to be holding, it's not actually your real Zanpakuto anymore. It seems we'll have to do a lot of fishing, if I do say so myself." Now, this would actually not be a joke. Like, he's gonna go fishing. So Urahara would bring him to this river he has underground, and they would go on a small boat, and they would go in the middle. Now, Ichigo would start to sense some different energy from there. Now, this would actually be thousands of Asuchis that are in the water. Now, what would happen is pretty much Urahara would hand him like a what is that thing you use to fish? I'm so stupid. He would give him that. I can't even remember what's the name. Alright, he would give him it. If you guys actually know what it is, I'm acting pretty dumb right now. So yeah. Yeah. If you remember, if I remember, at least before the end of this video, I'll say it. But he would give him it, and he would start to throw his line into the water before he would start to, close his eyes. Like Urahara would tell him, close your eyes, search for your soul. So he would, close his eyes, lower the, oh my god, I wish I knew it. He would lower the line, and it would go like pretty deep. Like this, there was no limit at how far the line would go. So, pretty much what would happen is he would reach, like, it would go down a lot, but Ichigo's not focusing on that. So he's going through, and once the lower he goes through, he basically just sees what really happened in part 1. As I explained how, like, Ichigo was born, like, right before, he basically sees everything and knows, like, what quantities are and how they originated from, and the old man Zangetsu would have told him the truth about how he's actually his representation of his Quincy powers. And yeah, he would have learned about Yuha and how he's coming back in about 109 years, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 100 and somewhere around there. It's around 100 years, and they have to prepare and get ready, and they can't rely on their Bankai because it's going to be stolen and stuff like that. You would have learned all of it. And pretty much he would then, after learning that, he would accept it except that he's part hollow, part Shinigami, and part Quincy, and he would stop relying on his Zanpakuto and say the Zanpakuto is me before he opened his eye and the fishing net. No, it's not what it's called. I thought after I would talk about this, I would actually remember what it's called, but I can't. Fuck out of here. Alright, I'm talking to someone. Talking to fucking Siri just appeared out of nowhere. Like, damn. I'm just kidding, though. I'm actually not kidding, but I just say I'm kidding. I don't know why I say I'm kidding. So, after Ichigo would pretty much open his eyes, out of nowhere, the thing I can't remember we used to fish would turn into his two new Zanpakutos, which, like in canon, would be his two dual-wield Bankais. So, pretty much what would happen is he would get up and Urahara would congratulate him about, finding a way to actually, get your Zanpakuto, since most people, they don't actually, they don't actually pass this. They usually have to use another technique, but it's pretty good that he did learn this technique. So, not technique, but he learned how to get his Zanpakuto in this method. So, pretty much what would happen, Ichigo would get up and he would have pretty much just chilled for the rest of the day. Now, the next morning, Urahara would have told him, if you're going to stay here, I'm going to need you to do me a favor. Urahara, telling Ichigo this. Ichigo would be, eternally grateful towards Urahara, and he would, ask him, what is it? And Urahara would start to explain about a certain Shinigami that went rogue and now is stealing powers from Shinigami, from substitute Shinigami that are, I guess like a certain it's substitute Shinigami. He's explaining to them it's like a deputy of a city. So let's say this substitute Shinigami comes along and starts to, make sure no hollows attack any souls and rightfully guide them to Soul Society. Let's just say Ginjo comes along and steals their Shinigami powers and absorbs them with his own power. This causes, this is a problem, and it's a problem for me since sometimes I can't really go around Soul Society. Not Soul Society, the human world or Karakura Town, because I don't want to run into him. Like, I know I can beat him, but it's just not good for business for, Soul Society ever finds out where we are. It's just not a good idea. So, pretty much, Ichigo would nod his head and completely understanding. And, he would ask him, how do you want me to deal with this? And he would say, yeah, you're going to deal with it with your Mrs. Rukia, Mrs. Kuchiki, Miss Kuchiki, and Toshiro, Mr. Captain Hitsugaya. And with those captains and lieutenants, you thought I hollowified. Saying, completely carefree and as a joking matter, since Kisuke seems more like Gojo than Kakashi seems like Gojo. Never mind. I'm not gonna say anything. I was gonna say it, never mind. But it's just like Kisuke, bro. This guy's always joking around. Like, no lie, bro. This guy's always laughing, not laughing, but like always using this tone in his voice that sounds like he's like joking around, but he's quite serious. So Ichigo would then meet up with the Vizards. So he'd be walking through the let's just call it like the shipping warehouse district, or yeah, that's the right word. So he would come up to this district, but this district had a barrier on it. So he would walk up to the barrier and just rip it, and not actually like this is not Beyblades, by the way. I actually mean like he grabbed it and ripped it, like ripped a hole into it before he walked back in. And Hachi would be meditating before he would open his eyes, and he would say, a unknown individual has entered the barrier. Now Hiyori would just get her sandal and start getting active, and once Ichigo would walk in, all he would see is his sandal just coming right at him, and he would get slapped right in the face. Once Ichigo would get up, there'd be a huge sandal imprint on his face, like it's just red. And Shinji would then, like, Hiyori was gonna throw another sandal at him, but Shinji would then like grab her wrist, and pretty much asked Ichigo, so you're from Urahara, right? And Ichigo would kind of shake the back of his head, saying, "Yeah, I am." And they would clearly see the captain's cloak on his on his outfit, since Ichigo has a habit of still wearing it. He still likes it, like it's a very good outfit. I mean, jacket. So pretty much, Shinji would say, "Who'd you steal that off?" Ichigo would kind of back up, looking all offended, like as a joke. He would say, "Oh, I didn't steal that off. I earned it." And pretty much, Lisa would close her book, or her perverted book. No one really knows what she reads. I think she reads like magazines. I'm not gonna get in description of what magazines she reads, but let's just say magazines of art, I guess somebody would call it. So she would then look at Ichigo and say, "So how'd you become captain of the Gote 13?" And pretty much Ichigo would explain that he started out in the academy, graduated in 1 year, and he would have reached in his pocket and shown the badge for that, or like a certain award for that, passing early, and they would have seen like that was legit. Then he says he joined the 11th squad for around maybe 10 years. Correct me if I'm wrong about the years though. And he would have occasionally, like a lot, fought Kenpachi. And everyone was pretty surprised at that. Kenpachi? There's a new Kenpachi? And pretty much he would explain, yeah, Kenpachi of Zaraki. So his name's Kenpachi Zaraki. Since when he was a kid, he fought Unohana, and let's just say in the stories, he wrecked her shit. And Yachiro Unohana was said to master 8,000 sword styles, and that guy beat her, and he had to limit himself during the fight just to beat her. And all the captains and lieutenants would be quite, flabbergasted, since number one, everyone was always scared of Unohana, but they still worked with her in some cases, but every time she does that weird smile of hers, it looks so demonic. So pretty much everyone would think that this guy was strong. He managed to beat Yachiro back in her days before she became a healer. Like, that was quite surprising. So, pretty much Ichigo to explain that he was here to do that mission. And, Hachi would, wave his hands forward, and he would ask Ichigo, "How did you get in the barrier?" Ichigo explained, I see you're a Kido user as well. You were the person that made the barrier. I'd suggest next time try using maybe more than one barrier. If someone of advanced Kido level, or even Quincy's, can extract a reishi from your barriers, then it'll go down, or it would open a hole through where they can get through. So I'd suggest merging barriers together, so it's very hard, so when they try to do it, you would be alerted before they would actually get in. And pretty much Hachi would be kind of surprised, since number one, Ichigo's kind of like a Kido expert here, but he isn't just a Kido expert. He's balanced in everything. He's like mastered everything at that point. He had so many years to train for everything. It's so surprising at that point. So they would go in, and Shinji would show them like a bullet board of all, like, who Ginjo is, who their accomplice is, like Tsukishima, and all the full-bringers like Yukio, I don't really remember their names, like Jackie, I don't really need them. I mean, I kind of need to know their names. So yeah, he would start, Shinji would start to explain what they'll be doing. He says, well, they're pretty much gonna attack Tsukishima and Ginjo when they're alone, while all the full bringers are away and can't sense them. So pretty much he would show them where they're going, exactly where they're going, and he would have they would pretty much put a bait, like a substitute Shinigami, and when Ginjo and Tsukishima would be there, like Ichigo, like Team Vizard plus Ichigo, Rukia, and Toshiro would all be there to basically jump those two at least. And he would tell Ichigo not to get stabbed by Tsukishima's sword or anyone here, or his sword will insert himself into the memories. And I did not mean, don't think of it like that, okay? So just take a deep breath and, don't have a dirty mind, please. So, So he would explain that this will be actually happening tomorrow. So yeah, exactly one day to get ready and prepare yourself. Since you are, pretty strong, we should be able to do this quite easily. Then they would, start to get ready. They would use like Ryatsu concealing cloaks, try to stay stealthy, and Ichigo would remember all the lessons from Soifan or Yoruichi. I mean, not actually directly from Yoruichi, but like some of the lessons that are taught to the Amnitsukido or the Shihoan clan. So it would just be like a common thing that Byakuya taught him, since he knows Yoruichi, like he was taught by Yoruichi. So yeah. Now, pretty much the next day, every one of the Vizards and Ichigo, Rukia, and Toshiro would have their cloaks on, and they would have their swords, sheathed, and they would head out. Now, pretty much Shinji would be having these goggles similar to the one that Renji had that searched for Yatsu and sense it. So they pretty much put in Ginjo's and Tsukishima's Ryatsu so they can specifically just sense them. Now, pretty much what would happen is they would see, they would sense him, and they would go and flash step onto the lights post and anywhere that they couldn't be seen. Now, Ichigo would be looking at Ginjo, and he would sense his Ryatsu. He has a special type of power, almost as if... And then he would search really closely. He would see that, for some reason, Ginjo has the fragment of some divine power. Now, if you guys don't know, Fullbringers have a fragment of the Soul King. So he would have seen this is way more powerful than Yamamoto himself, this divine power. This was actually, like I said, the piece of the Ryu, or the Soul King. And he would see that Tsukishima has it as well. So Shinji would then activate his Shikai, and he would, Ichigo and Rukia and Toshiro would run at them. Now, Ichigo would quickly use his Bakudo number 61 on both of them, and Ginjo would look behind him, but it was actually in front of him. And then what would happen is Toshiro would awaken, use his Bankai really quick, and then he would then use Hirosembi, compress it into his sword, and stab right through Tsukishima's chest. This would cause like a hole through his chest, and when he took it out, Tsukishima would literally be dying. Now Ginjo would be pretty mad. He would summon his sword, but he couldn't move. It would turn back into Reishi. After this, Ichigo would then walk up to him, grab his face before taking back all of the Ryatsu of the people he stole it from, and some Fullbringer Ryatsu, which will come in clutch later on if you don't know what I mean, guys. So after this, Ichigo's, for some reason, he didn't mean to actually, take it. He just wanted to take it from Ginjo. So what happened is Ichigo's form would start changing, and he would have those Fullbring marks that he has in canon. So after this, he would get his dual-wield blades, and he would use a Getsuga Jujisho to basically eliminate Ginjo. Now after this, the team would come together, and they would kind of do like a team handshake. Not actually, they just dabbed each other up. Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't know if they actually do that, but if they did, sure, why not? It's your imagination. So pretty much you would head out, and Ichigo, Rukia, and Toshiro would start to form friendships with the Vizards, and this will just be the beginning. Now, for now, guys, this will be the end of this what if, or end of this part 4, and by the way, we'll be doing a time skip right before the end of around, I'd say, a good 25 years. That's pretty good. And we'll start to see the new generation of, Bleach. So my plan is for, what Bleach is supposed to be is Uryu will kind of be like that, not the MC of, this what if, but, MC of what Ichigo was in that timeline. He would be, the MC of that timeline. In a sense, the MC of that generation, if you get my vibe. So, and pretty much, yeah. Let's just say Ichigo will be teaching Uryu some nice techniques, if you get my vibe. So, yeah, without further ado, guys, subscribe and join the channel membership. So, yeah, without further ado, guys, peace out.